Well, hello everyone that's watching. Welcome to Car Crash Productions Virtually Fringe. And today we've got a workshop with Hannah, and she's going to be showing us how to make a website. So over to you, Hannah. Tell me how to make a website. I have no idea. I mean, I remember we tried to make one in class that one time.
Do you still not have a website?
I mean...
Oh, Alex, we're going to remedy that today. So I would not say that I am a legit trained professional website builder, but I have built my own website and it's very nice and clean and crisp. And I feel like it kind of represents me very well as an artist. And then today I'm going to build another website with you guys just to kind of show you a little bit of the breakdown of like what things you should be considering when you build a website. You know, how difficult it is. A lot of people are very scared to build websites because they think that it's going to be much harder than it is. But there's so many different websites out there now that kind of have a whole widget and build so that all you have to do is kind of customize it to yourself. So
it's exciting.
Let's jump in. So we're just going to jump in. First thing I kind of want to talk about is I'm going to build mine through Weebly. Because I feel really comfortable with that platform. That's what my first website was built through. It's very simple, user-friendly. Unless you're someone who knows how to code or is very familiar with it, I would stay away from websites like WordPress. I recently built a website through them and it was extremely difficult and very user-friendly. It's kind of like you had to go through 3 different platforms to create one website, and every time you would do something, it wasn't as customizable as my Weebly page. And so another website that I've heard is really friendly is Wix. There's Foursquare. So there's quite a few out there that you can use. It's kind of, you know, shop around and see what you're most comfortable with. And then that should be the website you go with.
Are they all free as well, or do you have to pay to sign
Well,
up?
it depends. So most websites have a free version available, but the thing with the free version is here, actually, let me see if I can show you. So just to give you an idea, I'm going to show you my personal website so that you kind of see how it shows up. So this is my website. As you can see from the top, this is the biggest difference between having a free website and paying for your website. So this is your website domain. If you choose to have a free website, it is going to usually include something up here where it says the company that you've gone through. So mine's hannahhuerta.weebly.com. Whereas if I bought the domain for my website, it would just say hannahhuerta.com. But first you need to figure out kind of the purpose of your website. Is your website meant for yourself? Is it meant for selling goods, or is it meant for a company? And so once you kind of figure that out, you'll be able to figure out what website works best for you. Some websites also have options where is it just a regular website or is it a website that sells goods? So you want to make sure that you pay attention to that as well. Let's just say you're an artist and you need a website to sell yourself. So that means that, you know, you want to come up with like an online portfolio of your work. And the things that you want to highlight are, you know, what kind of person you are, what kind of work you do, and your overall aesthetic. So for here, I'm a director designer. So I wanted my first image on my website to be something that's very visually striking. It's kind of bold. This is a show I directed. It was Waiting for Godot. Here's Vladimir and Gogo. And in the background, you can obviously see the set. Here you see my name, big, Hannah Huerta, you know whose website this is. Down here it says director. And so that kind of tells you who I am as a person. You can label yourself or you can choose not to label yourself. It's really up to you and kind of what do you want to show and tell people about yourself. In this top up here, I have a logo icon. That is something that I branded myself with. I can also show you guys how to create a logo.
Makes it look really professional, I think.
Yes, it does, because it's just like you're marketing yourself and you're trying to show that you are a professional who wants to work in the field. And so the cleaner you can kind of have your website and the easier it is to read, that's up to you. Now, let's say you're someone who's very clean, quiet, you know, you don't really like, for me, I'm a little bit I'm a loud, colorful personality. So my website's going to be a little bit louder and colorful, but at the same time, keeping professional, clean lines. If you're someone who is kind of whimsical and silly, you might want to consider that with your color scheme.
Yeah.
If you are someone who is a little bit more straightforward, maybe tech oriented, you want to maybe keep more muted colors. Same thing as if you're directing musicals, and that's the kind of work you want to do, you're going to have a different website than someone who's directing straight plays
Yeah.
about, I guess, crime or social justice. So you want to consider kind of what it is. Like for me, the work I like to direct is visually driven. So that's kind of what it's going to gear towards. Now, this is your home page. You want to keep it minimal. You don't need a bunch of stuff on your front page. If you're a company, however, you might set your front page up a little bit differently. And I can show you some website examples as well. So for me, just to make it a little bit more personable so they kind of know who I am as a person, here's 3 photos of me doing different things. I have myself traveling. I have myself working on something because I'm someone who likes to work with their hands. And then I have myself outdoors because I enjoy nature and hiking. And then down here, this little blurb, it kind of just tells a little bit about who I am, where I am, and what I'm working on currently. So I'm an emerging director, originally from Austin, Texas, relocated to United Kingdom, COVID-19 breakout, return to States, self-isolation, dissertation, finishing MFA.
So this
So
is
you just
very
kind of
up
want,
to date as well. So is it important to update it quite regularly then?
yes. A lot of people kind of forget about their website once they're done building it. But the thing is even just like every show, just update it. You don't have to update it every week or every month. It's kind of like if you've had a key point that's changed in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then down here, you always want to make sure that it's easy to contact you from your home page. Because what if someone's tired of you and they don't want to go anywhere else? Then at least they've hit the home page.
Just one button away.
Kind of page breakdown. So we might be jumping a little bit ahead. So we'll kind of jump back and forth of like, here's general stuff using this as an example, but then backtrack to actually taking you through the step by step of building a website. So this was, I made this for really graduate auditions. And so one of the requirements was to have your directorial philosophy. This is not something everyone needs, but I think it's important to kind of have a mission statement. Same as branding yourself with a logo, a mission statement really gives a clear idea of either who you are as a person, an artist, or who you are as a company. And you want to make sure that your audience or whoever it is who's viewing your page understands that. So my directorial philosophy is sort of like my mission statement. And I have it on its separate page just because this was how I set it up when I first did my website. And on my home page, I wanted to keep it really simple and clean. So here's kind of a blurb, nice, clean, nothing, fancy, but it explains kind of who I am as a person. And at the top, I have it titled so they know exactly what they're looking at. As much as I'm someone who loves color, I also love cleanliness and organization. So you can see that with the black title, white, so it's a very simple layout. Now, since I'm an artist, I want to have a portfolio so people kind of know what work I do. So here's my portfolio. Now, yes, that's my husband. He did a film with me recently, and this was for my film class. So kind of as you can see, you can either label things or you can leave them unlabeled. Personally, I don't want to label my things because I don't feel like I need to. Some people might argue differently. Again, that goes into your whole website design and personal preference. So it's really up to you how you decide to handle that. But I put most recent work at the top because usually your most recent work is your best work. And also people don't want to see what you've done 10 years ago. People want to know what you've recently done. So you put that towards the top. Here I put big images, but if I click on this image, and I'll show you how to do this as well, it takes me directly to the project page. So you can see the title of this was Ashes. Here's the YouTube video that you can click on, and then it takes you either to YouTube or they watch it in the page. So it's really simple and it puts your work all in one place. And then if I go back, simple portfolio. Now, as you can see from my portfolio, it has a drop-down menu. That's because I wanted to make sure that each show had its own section. So if they were interested in looking at a specific project, the second they hit portfolio, they have that option to do that. So we select this, title of your show. If it's an original piece, you want to mark that. If it's by a certain author, you want to make sure that you say who it's by, so you give that credit. Usually for my pieces, I do kind of like a little blurb that just talks about the project, my process, things like that. And then at the bottom, I'll have photos, and then sometimes I'll have a video. So it just depends on if I had a good video from that quality. This is just a really straightforward way of showing your work. And every time I click portfolio, it takes me straight back to here. All of these images take you to a different project. For a while, I had some that were promotional. Like, let's say if I had this image and I clicked on it, but I hadn't quite had the YouTube link yet, you could put something like, if you're currently updating and you just need a break, you can put coming soon. So that way you're letting people know that things are coming to your portfolio, even though they're not necessarily there yet. For me, these are all kind of directing works that I've done. And then down here at the bottom, I do design work as well. So I put some design work from different things. I put it all in one category because I wouldn't consider myself to be specifically a designer, but it is a skill set I have. And so this kind of showcases that different area. And then you can put titles. See, this is what I was talking about before. You can put titles to kind of help label what photos are from. So this lets you know this is from Little Mermaid Junior. The thing I did was puppet design and construction, and it was at a middle school. So, and then it has photos from the children in their costumes. So that's just a really basic, easy, straightforward way to kind of build your online portfolio.
Really good, because I think as well, like when I'm thinking about myself and the website I would create, obviously I've got directs and stuff out there, but I still work professionally as an actor and as a choreographer. And in my head I was like, oh, does that mean I have to make separate websites for each thing? But it's like, no, you can just have like different sections, which is really good.
And it's also like, you can decide how you want to market yourself. So for me, I want to market myself mostly overall as a director. So that's why all my directing things are separate. And let's say you wanted to be like actor and director, and you don't want to do it where it's a smaller thing, like all your acting thing is on one tab. You could still keep the shows separate. You could then create a drop-down folder that says directing and acting, and then that breaks down into a separate folder. So for example, right here, Impact was a show or a company I worked with over a summer where I directed 6 shows with them. And then it pulls out into all of the different things I did with just that one specific company. So just like you have a directing tab or an acting tab, then it breaks down to what is in those different tabs. So that's another way of kind of deciding how it is you want to market yourself. Do you want to say you're director / choreographer, director, and then just mark your choreography all on one different page? It's really up to you. Something that's really important that everyone should include is an About Me page. Now, your About Me is going to show your resume, your headshot, and if you want, you can put a blurb here, but you really don't need to. So here I have resume that is actually photo, but it's small. So I also have down here a PDF download. So the important thing about having your PDF download is you want to make sure I don't put my phone number on here, because I do not want anyone on the internet being able to get my phone number. If someone wants to work with me, they can email me. So, and then maybe get my phone number. But that's important to realize. Same thing with your contacts. Your contacts might not want their information on your website. So I put references available upon request so that their information stays private as well. You can always check with your references and ask if they want to, if they're okay with you putting maybe an email, but most of the time they do not want their phone number released. So that's something to consider when you're putting in your resume. Same thing with down here. It's basically the PDF is a copy of this image that I put here and here. And then I have a headshot so that people know generally what do I look like. Because that's always a nice way to show who you are as a person. It's personable. And then also this is the headshot you can pull for any project. So it's really easy. Last thing is contact is always important, especially for companies. You want to make sure that you have a nice contact page. I would say my contact page here is probably a little lacking, but let me show you a project I just did recently, and let me show you their contact page. Okay, so their contact page is titled Get Involved. So I click on that, and then it has some photos of past productions they've done. It tells you thank you for your interest, and then it gives specific information on who to contact and for what. So that kind of helps give. And then here, if you click here, it gives a PDF of script information. And then they are a grassroots theater, and so they have a donation. So here you can click to donate, and it takes you to their PayPal. This is specifically for companies only. I guess if you wanted as an artist and you're trying to come up with new productions and you needed someone to donate, you could create a PayPal account and have them donate to there as well, which if you click on that, it will take you to this. And so then you're able to donate. Now, let's go back to the very beginning. We're going to just try and we're just going to try and break down kind of what it is to start a website, so that it doesn't feel so daunting. So as I said before, I really like Weebly. That's just because I'm comfortable with using them. It's really up to you who you want to go with. Here we go. This is what Weebly would look like, and it would take you to a login. If you haven't logged in, you sign up. I'm not going to do that because I have a login, but simple thing. It also lets you pick which country you're from, which would be really helpful because this is probably to a lot of international people. Then once you have your whole sign-ins all geared up, it'll take you to kind of your home page. If you don't have a website created, you will then, if you want to add a site, that's what we're going to be doing. Ooh. There we go. This is kind of where it takes you. So what kind of website would you like to create? As I said before, if you are selling goods, like maybe you are a company, a theater company, and you want to sell t-shirts or merchandise, and this could be how you do that. I need a website with an online store. If you're just someone who needs an e-portfolio or a company page, I just need a website.
I suppose as well, something like DVDs of your work as well, or something, I don't know.
Same, exactly. And so, or if you want to, maybe you as a person are really marketable and you have a cool logo and people follow your work, then you could do that as well. So for the website, as you can see, there's many themes. You can just kind of scroll through. This is more business oriented. If you have a portfolio, this is actually where I started my website from. And I changed the ES to the top to my logo. This obviously changed to my name, and I just put director. And then
and points if you can guess which one I would have picked.
I was like, obviously. Yeah. But honestly, this jellyfish looks nice too.
It does.
But it depends on kind of
Tom
what
would
you
pick.
want. Yeah. Tom would pick something absolutely wild, personal event blog. But again, it's personal. So if you are kind of wanting more of a blog style website, like some people like to do work and do blog updates of what they're doing monthly or weekly or project wise. So it's really up to you how you want to set that up. Here's a nice one for someone who's doing photography. So actually, this kind of gives me a segue. So I showed you what it was like to build a website for a single person. Today, I'm going to be building a website for kind of my own production company that doesn't have any money. So basically what it is it's going to be my kind of, I guess, company. And I'm going to start posting things to there. So my dissertation that I'm working on now, that will be posted to that website to kind of show that it's under the umbrella of that production studio company.
Because as well, I guess when you're picking a website, because I would get drawn in by the images, but they won't be there, they'll be your images. So it's more, I guess, think
Yes.
about the format, so where the title is, where the subsections are.
Yes. And you want to make sure that kind of however you decide, it's going to be something that you can. So, like, for example, I had this guy. This is obviously, I didn't have his image, but I wanted a website that I could adapt for myself as an artist. Why not? Let's give a preview. Let's try this. Let's give this a little preview. So we have this. Here's an about me down here. So for example, if I was going to use this for my production company, this is a long first page. That's my personal preference. I'm not a long first page kind of gal, so I would change that first off. But a nice thing is I could possibly put my logo here. Home, always good. And then I could put a picture of the current production that is being worked on or promoted. And then this is nice. They have a view portfolio, which could be beneficial instead of, and you could change this so that it doesn't say portfolio, it says something else. So you know what? We might start this.
Ooh.
And you can always go back and delete and like redo. So you're not stuck on something. So don't worry about that. So domain name. This is actually really important because you need to make sure that your name is available. Search.
Drum roll again.
Perfect. WorkStudios.weebly.com is available. Also, the domain is available. So if I wanted to choose to purchase it, so that's a great sign. So I'm going to go ahead and start that. WorkStudios.weebly.com.
I feel like I've just witnessed the naming of your firstborn child or something.
Actually, just so people know, because on the info it
You're
says
having a
Hannah
baby?
Maria. No, not yet.
This is the announcement video.
Huerta is actually my last name. I'm mixed, so I'm half Mexican, half white American. But yeah, so that's kind of where that comes from. Studios, just because I want it to not be just a theatrical company. I'm interested in also doing film, and later on, once I have more, I guess, money flow and support and places to actually set up, I would be interested in supporting other artists and having studios where they can work and create on their own things. So that's kind of the background. So that actually tells you a little bit, that's really helpful in deciding branding. So when it's yourself, you just use your own name, easy peasy. But since it's a company that I'm going to create, I'm keeping it personal by using my last name. And then studios, of course, studio work, things like that, Huerta Studios. So you just want to consider, what is the purpose of what you're creating? How do you want people to understand and see it?
And I guess longevity as well, right? You don't want something that just is going to last you, a year. You want to think what's going to last you for the next sort of 10 years, really.
Yeah. And it's like, you just also want to think of, how do you want to present yourself to people? It's not necessarily what people need to expect of you. It's how do you want people to see you? And that's your choice as an artist. And that's really important when you think about your branding. I have a logo, but I'm trying to actually see if I can get it revamped. So I'm going to see if I can personalize this. So use a photo from your computer. I'm going to go to my downloads because that's where I just put that. Logo PNG, open, and we're just going to see how that looks. Okay, not bad. So this kind of gives you an idea of what it is going to be at the top. Going forward, I would probably replace this logo with something that's a little bit more refreshed. This is really old from when I was in college and I did it by hand. So I probably want to get someone to do it who has better skill set or can do it through Photoshop. So that way it's nice and clean and crisp. So that's something important to think of too. It's always good to have a placeholder, but don't be afraid to try to improve upon how something's looking. There's no shame in that game. Okay, so as you can see from these widgets, you only have so many options of what you can change. So for example, here I have logo, but let's say I wanted to add text. Okay, so then that gets rid of the logo. So then I go back here. So here's what I would eventually do for my logo. And like, just pretend those are all like little colors. So I would eventually create a logo. Since I can't add text up here, that's not an option. I would create a logo with text in it so that it would spread across that top. So it would look something more like this, where it's my last name, the little image, and then studios. So that way it's really nice, clean and crisp, and people know exactly what they're looking at. Now down here, you're just gonna kind of, one thing that you want to do when you first get your website is you want to kind of pay attention to all the different widgets. Here at the top, you have build. So that's the general pages. That lets you go to each one of these different categories at the top. So here's your home page. It takes you to your home page, and then it allows you to add different things in there. Now, if I want to go back to my blog page, because I'm not interested in having a blog page, one thing I can do is just simply delete the whole thing. Delete, done, see? And I can add something else there. So let's say I want to put, I'm gonna put a standard page, and then I'm going to call it current productions, and then done. So now here we have current productions, and then again, you want to pay attention to how everything looks on your website. So do we like uppercase, or do we like mixture of uppercase, lowercase, or would you want something that's all lowercase? So we're just going to try this with the lowercase, see how it does. Okay. And then see that updates, and so it looks like that. I'm someone who kind of likes all caps. So we're just going to see what it looks like with all caps for all of these titles, and then we're going to reorganize them as well. So current productions, I would probably have next. Portfolio, considering I'm going to have a current production page, I don't think I need that. So I could actually, that's not set up any differently. So I would delete this currently. Don't worry if you're deleting pages, because the nice thing about Weebly is you can add pages. So you can always put more here. So now my home, I'm going to change this to all caps, home. For me, I like uppercase, all caps, because I feel like it has a really kind of bold, sleek look. Also, I think in my resume, it's similar there. Here's that. So now we have kind of all of this updated to what we want. So homepage, as we were talking about, we want it to be how people view the site. So we talked about here, down here. None of this, let's say we're changing this back image. Okay, so here we go. So you kind of just have to click around, same thing. So that's the biggest thing, is have patience with yourself while you're developing a website. It is not easy, but it's also not too difficult. So if you're having trouble, you'll eventually figure it out by clicking through. If you also hit a really huge roadblock, you can always Google, say, for a Weebly website, how do I add PDF? And usually you'll find exactly how to do that. So I'm going to edit this background. I'm going to replace this with some sort of image. Let's try this one from, this will be our new placeholder. There we go. Okay, so see, this was from a film production I did. You also want to consider kind of how the picture looks. Like this picture is a little bit muted because that's kind of the mood of the overall film. But maybe since it's on my first page and there's this vibrant color up here, I would maybe want to edit this photo. So that way it kind of fits a little bit more with the website. Save. Okay. So there you go. You saved, and now you're out of editing this photo. So now I'm going to go down here and edit this information. I'm going to put what the production was called. It was called Ashes, and it was made in 2020. Ooh. And I'm going to delete, I highlighted it. Up here, you can bold, underline, all that, make it larger, smaller, change color. Here, it says create link, okay? So you'll click there and you decide where that link comes from. Website URL is a different website completely. Standard page, product page, blog post, phone, file, email. and so on. So I want to click a standard page. So what I would do is here, and then I'm going to have it take me to current productions. And so now I have a link within my website to do that. You can choose also to open a new window, or you can leave this unchecked and then it just all stays in the same window. So what I mean by that is up here, if I'm in this window right here currently, and I click on view project, it would open a new window here. If I don't click this, then it will stay on this same page. When I find open a new window most helpful is if you are doing a PDF or if you are linking them to a social media page or an outside source. But if it's within the website build, I would leave it so that it does not open a new window. But that's personal preference. So now this link connects that way. Now I want to go to my current productions. So for Huerta Studios, I want it to be theater projects as well as film projects. So I'm actually going to create 2 tabs, and it's going to be a film tab and a theater tab. So let me do that really quickly. If I'm going to add a new page under current productions because I want to highlight my film Ashes, then I would go add. I'm going to do standard page, and then I'm going to label it Ashes. Okay, done. Now it is here, which I don't want it there. So I'm going to move it under current production, and I'm going to see how I shifted it over.
Yeah.
Shifting it over makes it underneath current productions. So here, now I can click and it takes me to Ashes, which I haven't created yet. But, so I'm going to, so I have here, and then I need to go to my Ashes page. Now let's set up a page. So we have click here to edit. I want to do Ashes as my title. I'm going to have, I think, I want this background to be much smaller.
So cool how you can just drag it. So custom.
That's what I love about Weebly is when I was working through WordPress, you did not have the ability to do this much editing. So edit background, I'm going to just change the color and let's just have it be black. So I'm going to change this now because I don't want to be able to not read it. I'm going to have it be a little bit whiter. But again, you can personalize each show by maybe adding a different color instead of just stark white, or you can have it uniform where it is just stark white. Original film, Hannah Huerta. Now the reason I want to put my name is because eventually Huerta Studios might produce other works that are not created by me. So I want to make sure that it's distinguished. Oh, so I don't want that to be as big as Ashes. So I'm going to make that much smaller. Can make it even smaller than that.
Can you change the font as well, or is it?
You can. So actually, this is a really good question. So we're having trouble changing this font. That is probably because with this widget right here, a widget is like a certain section on the website that you are manipulating. So with this widget on top, I couldn't change, remember, it to logo plus text. All that I could put was one thing up here. So I chose to put the logo. So that's why I would eventually have to build in the text into the logo to have both of those up here. So that's how that widget is set up. Down here, the widget is set up to have these different pages. And then down here is the next widget. Now, if I didn't like this widget, I could always get rid of it by editing. And it usually has a delete option. Replace, see, replace layout. You don't like it, you delete it. So for me personally, I like it, so I'm going to leave it there. But if your preference changes, then you can change that. So if I want to edit this background, scrolling effect, none, advanced, save more pages, content align. And so you can just kind of play with this to see how you like things laid out. Now down here, drag elements here. So here you have gallery. That's what I had for my portfolio, where it showed all the different pictures. Now, there's a difference between gallery and photo. Gallery means that it is a grouping of photos and it is laid out a certain way. Whereas if you add in a photo, you have more manipulation as to size and how it registers on the page. Contact, menu, featured, team. The great thing about pages is it takes you specifically to each page, helps you navigate that. Now, when you're specifically working on building and editing these pages, you want to make sure that you're clicked into this build on top. That's the purpose of all these. So I want to add, I'm going to say an image. So then I drag an image here. And so that's what's going to be at the top of my page. Upload image, we'll just use that same photo from before, which was this, I believe. And now it's going to put that image here. So now Ashes, original film by Hannah Huerta. And then you can also put a area if you want to give credit to your actors. So my husband was my actor, so I want to make sure to put a title underneath. Please drag down. If not, there we go. Click here to edit. And then I can say featuring, but again, remember how you are controlling your mood. So featuring Jeremiah Adams. And then I want this to be much smaller. And then I want the alignment to be left. And then I want to change this text. So I'm going to try something down here. So I just put in a title. Now we're going to put in text. Oh, change fonts.
Ah, where was that? Oh, in theme.
See, yes, so in themes. So you select specifically what you want to change. So I'm going to say for headline, if I wanted to change this here. Subheadline, I don't have one of those. General paragraph titles. So it says crimson text. I don't want that, so I'm going to see what do I have here for my navigation menu. Okay. So now I will go down to my paragraph titles, change this to this. So now my font is going to be different at the bottom. See, it's all now aligning and looking really nice and clean. I don't like this bolded because it's just a little too loud. So
featuring Jeremiah.
And then this is also a different, because this is a title as opposed to here's text. So if you don't like the title and how bold it is, you can delete this. And then that pulls this up to here. So it's a soft featuring Jeremiah Adams, but I need it to be a little bit different. Right now it's a gray and I want it to be a, let's see what happens if I have just this charcoal. Yeah, see, so it's nice showing him, featuring him. What I would probably do for this, instead of putting this image, because this is the image that sort of shows up on the YouTube video, is I would select a couple of images from the film that highlight the story and then put those in a sequence so
like
that the audience understands that. Exactly. Nice. And so the audience kind of sees it. And that's if, let's say you have someone click and they don't want to watch your video, then they still get an idea of your project. Now you don't need to necessarily do that. So I'm going back to my build. And this is kind of, your build is going to be if you're adding any widgets. Each one of these separate things is a different widget for you to add in. And so what I want to add in next is media. You can add in a video, you can add in audio. I'm going to add in a YouTube link and I want to put that underneath. And then this is going to let me take there. So I'm going to click here and then it's going to ask for my YouTube URL. You just go to youtube.com. Don't scream it, just go. Ashes. Okay, cool. So there's this. Now I'm going to click this link and then paste that here, and you can position it, I guess, in different areas. I just want to leave it nice and center, and then it's going to be done. Once I click out of it, it will then adjust. See how it's basically the same image?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's why you would want to change this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you want to change this so that you have some variation on your page. But this just gives you an idea of, and then if you want your image to be smaller, you can do that as well. So, and then image, let's say I'm editing my image. I'm adding a link to my image. So let's actually link back to current productions. So we're going to link back to here. So if someone clicks this, then they're taken back to my portfolio. So that's just a couple of ways you can kind of edit, go through, personalize. If I want to add another production, I'm just going to go to pages, and I'm going to make sure that I'm at my main pages menu, add a page, standard, and you can play with the pages, see which ones you like. I'm going to call this one Trapped. These are all things that I've already done, so it's easy to think of. So now I'm going to put Trapped below Ashes because it came after Ashes. And then same thing, you just go and you build your different pages. So I have my current productions page, which I haven't actually added a link to. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to delete this because I don't want it. Here we go. Okay, so if I go here to pages, main pages, and I want to edit a specific page, so I'm going to go to current productions. Down here you have header type. So that's this right here. Let's say you don't want a header. So I go down here and I put no header, and then it gets rid of that element. And then this now goes to the rest of the page. So let's say I want to add in that gallery that I talked about before. I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to upload some images. So here we go. We have both of our images here. To rearrange them, you can hold them, drag them. To edit this, because I don't have a third image, what I can do is columns. See how there's 3 because they're expecting 3 photos. I can add more if I want a bunch of photos, or I can just do 2. So that kind of helps you there. Now for this image, I want to, here we go. Okay, so make sure you're selected on the image. Up here is going to come up here. You can caption the image. I'm going to do a link, standard page, Ashes. Okay, so now every time I click on this image, it's going to take me to the Ashes page. Now if I click here, link, standard page, I want to go to Trapped. That will be that. Let's see what it looks like if we want to add a caption.
I love that picture, that Trapped one. It's so nice.
It's so terrifying.
I love the color, that teal.
Yes, I love that color.
Who made it? Did you draw that?
Yeah, I painted that. Okay, so now when we click on this, it's going to create this page. Okay, has all this rough stuff. And then so if I click here, it takes me to Ashes, just like I said, have my YouTube link. If I go down here, it takes me to Trapped, which we didn't actually create. But if I want to go back to my current productions and then I want to click here, it takes you to Trapped. So it just gives you an idea of all the layout. So I'm going to have to fix all this, but I actually like this contact page really well.
Yeah.
I would probably change contact to something else or get rid of it altogether because I like this get in touch.
Yeah,
it's very
nice.
personable. Yeah, and then you just kind of put what it is you're expecting, and then it has this form. You can also put your email up here if you want them to email you directly instead of this little box. Sometimes people prefer that because it feels more personable. And then let's go back to editing the sky, edit website. So going on to the home page, we have, you know, the current production, our most recent production. And then we have, and you can also change this from current productions because not all of them are current. That's silly. So I want to change that. So I would go to pages and make sure that I'm changing this to just productions. And then done. So that's nice. And that actually cleans it up. So it's just one word for each title, which I actually like better. So let's go home really quick. Now, if I go down here,
about me.
Instead of about me, it would be about us because it is a company. And then it would be title Huerta Studios. This is a bit brash, so maybe I would make this go a little bit smaller. It's a little less offensive. And then here, I would put my mission statement as a company. Okay, so that's really simple. I would obviously want to embellish that a little bit because that is
literally just
very,
made
very
that up
simple.
in the past 30 seconds.
Exactly. And so, and then here, this is really great. Each one of these is a social media icon. I do not have a Twitter, so I will be deleting this. YouTube is great because obviously I could create a YouTube page for the production company. That's a fantastic idea. Facebook is still very commonly used by people, so I will definitely have that. And Instagram, I actually have an Instagram for Huerta Studios. There it is. Boom. Okay, so now I'm going to link this, but here I'm going to put my Huerta Studios there. So if someone clicks on this little Instagram link, then they are going to be taken to that. And I like these centered because there's not enough icons to go all the way across and it looks a little bit cleaner. Here, I would probably end up putting a picture of us working on a project. Once I have more of a staff or people who I'm collaborating with, maybe I would put a photo here so they can kind of see who we are at Huerta Studios. You can have a quote. That seems a bit pretentious. So I'm not going to put a quote. And then see how there's a spacer here. We obviously don't need that. See another spacer. We don't need that. So you just want to clean up your page so that everything is working really nicely. Maybe I want a spacer here. So for here, I would drag the spacer from the structure section and put it above about us because I want there to be, there we go. See, a little bit of space at the top. So that way it just lines up a little bit nicer with this photo. So it's small details like that while you're doing your website that will really help to elevate it. And then down here, I don't feel like I would put anything because I'm already going to have a page. So I would most likely delete all of this and delete this because I don't need it. And then same thing with all of this. This is all just a lot of business. Delete it all. And then here, I would keep this because it's a contact me. So here's a really nice, simple way to lay out your top. You have your logo, obviously your pages. You have a striking visual image. You go down to a little bit of a blurb. I would really elongate this and make sure that it's very succinct and professional. And then my contact, get in touch with me. It's always great to have your contact, on your first page and your last page. Now for this background, it is a bit busy. So what I would probably do is replace this
with a picture of me.
Exactly. With just a color to keep it very simple. So, or just no color at all because that actually looks nice too. So here we've lost our contact me because it was in white. Oh, save. Okay, so now see how our get in touch is in white. So I'd want to change this to, I'm going to do it to that nice charcoal gray. See, get in touch, first name, last name, email, save. And then also something interesting that I had at this other website, it had the contact information. So you could always get in contact with them at the bottom of each page. So that was something that I thought was really nice. So we could add something to the bottom of here. It could just be show, image, media, all of this business. I'm going to go ahead and put a text. Just drag that underneath. And then change this to make this even smaller. I'll put this center so it's nice and clean. And then I would maybe even make it just the slightest bit. There you go. So it's just a soft hint at the bottom. And there's no need for this spacer that is right here. Maybe later, get away. So there we go. So this is my first page. We have, oh, this contact me. I don't need it to say contact me. Get in touch is a bit too excitable for me. It's a bit much. So I'd probably just delete that.
No.
And then maybe change this to, I would change this actually to contact us, because it will eventually become a company. And then this contact me up here would simply just get deleted because it's not necessary. And ta-da. So here's your section on contact us. Here's your little section on your mission statement. Here's your photo of your current, most recent show, productions, and then this contact page, which is really nice. And then what I would probably do again is we're going to go to pages, header, no header, and then now it goes straight to get in touch. So now this is a little bit more personable.
Yeah.
I don't need the spacer. So I'm going to go ahead and move us and then delete that. So get in touch. Now I want to be more personable. And so I would just change this to say something like, if you're interested in collaborating with us or something along the lines of that.
And here's my address to send any makeup, food.
Exactly. And then put down here. So there you go. And then if you want to keep that consistent of having an email at the bottom of each page, you just make sure that you add that text box to the bottom of each page you're working on so that it's always there. For your contact page, maybe you don't need to add it because you put it up here. So it's up to you. So just paying attention to all of that.
Let's see what it looks like.
That's pretty much. Okay, yeah, sure. Let me publish everything that I just did. So some people don't like to publish because they worry about what people will think. No one's really looking for Word to Studios right now. So
What?
It's fine.
Everyone watching this is now going to look.
Word to Studios.weebly. So here we go. I'd probably maybe add a spacer so that's not right on top of send. One thing I would want to do is for productions, let's go to that pages. I'm going to add standard blog page, film, done. So films is going to go here. And then I want ashes to be smaller because it's going to go underneath films, and trapped, same thing. If I want to add theater, then it would go here. And you just want to make sure you don't go too far over. Okay, so there you go. So now I have a film section and a theater section. So now it goes from here, films, theater.
Cool.
Theater has nothing right now. Films has this and this. But yeah, that's the basic gist.
Absolutely. The basics of what you can do in an hour.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so no problem.
I feel like if I remember when I was making a website, honestly, I think it took me an hour just to pick a theme.
Of course it did. Once you get down to it and you start to get the hang of it, it's much easier. Now,
I guess it's just about persevering, giving time to it.
It is, and some people just honestly don't have the patience for technology, and some people just honestly don't have the time. So that's why, like, for example, the company I just worked for, they just didn't have the time or the know-how or weren't comfortable building a website. So they hired out to me and I built their website for them.
Oh, so we can hire you to make our website.
Yes.
How much
Yes,
do
you
you
can.
charge?
If you, well, it kind of just depends on kind of the website size. So, and also the content of everything that goes into the website. So
And
for
how long
them,
did
I
it
charge
take
them.
for you to make their website? Like from
Well,
full?
we worked for a month.
Mm-hmm.
So we started at the beginning of June, and then by July it was ready to go live. And that wasn't with me working on it every day, but that was with me dedicating, I don't know, quite a few hours into it. But it was also like I would spend time doing meetings with them to consult them about design, make sure they were happy with the progress. And then they would send me the content. So it was basically just like I was filling in the gaps and helping them with layout, making sure it looked nice and clean. I also helped them build their logo. I don't know if you want to see like an example of how that works.
Sure, why not? I can always make it like a part 2.
Because this is something that also, since some people are not or don't feel like they're creative enough to come up with their own logo or confident enough. So Wix is fantastic. I love Wix. That's why I said I would be happy to use their website. I just hadn't done it before. So I thought it'd be more efficient to use Weebly. So I'm just going to log in. So the nice thing is they match you with a professional designer if you have the money for it. This would be more for a company or for someone who is investing in themselves, trying to make a name and have a really crisp, clean logo. If you also know designers, a lot of them will be comfortable with Photoshop or have done some minimal graphic design. So it's always great to utilize them. You can also offer to pay a little bit so that it can be an incentive. But yeah, let's design a logo. Let's go. Okay. How should your logo look? Dynamic, creative, fresh. You can click as many of these as you like, but I'm just going to go with those ones. And then it gives you basically which of these logos do you like better. And then it lets you decide what are you going to use this for. And now they are customizing and finding a style for me. So here we go. Here's some options. So there's just like it comes up with quite a few different fonts. Let's see if actually we can edit one. I'm gonna try this. So we're just gonna customize this. So obviously, since my website has a white background, I'm going to want white. Here we go, classic chic. There we go, boom. Not a huge fan of this. So I might look at the fonts and change it. I also might want to change the text. So let's change the font, see what our options are. Okay, and I want these to be the same size. Okay, cool. So we have our 2 words, and then I want an icon. It could be something like this for your logo, but I would replace this with my actual logo that I have because I really like how that looks. So there you go. That's how you come up with a logo.
Thank you for a little bonus feature there.
Yeah, and then I don't know if you can just drag these. So this is how I take the logo. I do Command-Shift-4. I'm on a Mac. If you're on a PC, I don't know how you do that. Basically, you just do a screenshot of your logo. But there you go. That's the basic gist of everything.
Hey, well, thank you very much, Hannah. If anyone's got any questions, they can obviously leave a comment on this video and we can answer anything, clarify anything if it wasn't clear. Yeah.
Also, I think my Instagram handle is on the group, but it's the HM Huerta, HUERTA. And so you can DM me and just ask me. I am private, so it might be difficult to get a hold of me. But if you can't get a hold of me for some reason, message Alex and she'll let me know.
Yeah. And if you want to check out any more of Hannah's stuff, then she's got a website, which we'll link along with her YouTube channel as well. Hey, well, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.